I'm now going to talk about implementation. Now, we're thinking in this module about design, so it might seem quite odd to think about implementation at the same point as when we designed the trial. But I think it's a mistake to relegate these thoughts to the end, when the trial is done and you're thinking about, well, could we get this into practice? By that point, it's entirely possible that you have, because of some design decisions, made it really hard to implement this trial. The right time to think about implementation is right at the start, when you're making your design decisions, because you can make it really hard or you can make it really easy. You could, for example, decide by making a choice about who is in your trial that come the end of the trial, it's impossible to get those same people into the trial without the heroic efforts of the trial team, who have now gone. We don't have that support available anymore. What we need to ask every time we make a design decision is this. With this design decision, what are the chances that we could replicate this trial design feature once the trial team has removed itself? Could we still do this if the trial team has gone? Now, I think this is more important for trials that are attempting to take a more pragmatic attitude than those which are taking a more explanatory attitude, but we should still ask the question nevertheless. Let's have an example. Let's imagine that we are designing a trial that is going to test a piece of kit. This piece of kit aims to improve continence in older people, particularly those living in care homes. It's a bit of electronic and it stimulates muscles. Right, now what we have recognized in our early work is that care home staff are really busy, and actually there's a fair amount of turnover, so some staff don't stay there for very long. What we're thinking is that the people who are going to use this kit and put it on to the participants are some researchers. We're going to hire a couple of researchers and they will travel around, put the kit on a person, use it, put it on the next person, and then move to the next care home. That's what we're thinking. Let's ask that question. Okay, we finished the trial. Can we replicate that design feature now that the trial team has gone? Well, the answer is no, because we created a workforce that do not exist. Those researchers only existed within the trial. If I'm a care home manager, I now look at these results and say, well, who's going to use this piece of kit? We don't have staff. We're really busy. We can't do that. There's no training material. Let's just ignore it. And again, we don't want that. So the thing to think about is, right, we just have to accept that if we want this to be implementable, then we have to work with the existing staff. They are busy. There is some turnover, but we just have to accept that and work with it. We have to make sure that this piece of kit can be used by care home staff. It's easy enough to use, it's quick to train, doesn't matter if people only get to use it a few times and then we have to get somebody else trained. We have to work in that environment. If we do that, for that particular design factor, we have made it easier to implement the results if the intervention shows itself to be effective. So to summarize, we should think about implementation right at the start, because that makes it possible to design in features that make implementation easier. Nobody wants to design and run a trial that nobody cares about.